Hello and welcome to EvilGinger Miniatures, where I'm going to be doing my usual Tuesday evening show and discussing various things related to EvilGinger Miniatures, to modelling projects that I've got on, to that sort of thing. And you shouldn't eat your moustache, it's bad for you. So, what we got on tonight? Well, one of the things we've got on tonight are the start of the turn the Frostgrave individual wizards, which I haven't brought in here because I've run out of space, into warbands. You might have seen a prelude of this, but I'm getting some boxes of Frostgrave soldier type figures, and this is one of them that I've got already, which are going to be built up to give those wizards a following. They'll be built as 15 figure warbands, wizard apprentice, and starter warband, which is 4 paid for troops and 4 free troops, and then there will be 5 specialists or additional troops, varying by warband, and they'll all be kit bashed, but this is the beginning of that sort of thing. Find a home for that back here, and here is a female wizard set, which we get the male wizard set to go on it. It didn't arrive like that. I managed to crush it myself, but it's all intact inside. It's just the box that's a bit buckled. But there's a male wizard set coming. There are the other 3 boxes of cultists, and then there's soldiers 1 and 2, and both the barbarians. So there's going to have a fairly good selection of sculpts available, and I'll probably be taking them to markets as well. But Frostgrave is going to be a big thing on here, and on the Etsy shop, which I need to wake up from the dead because it has been asleep for a very long time, and largely because I had a horrible mental health issues last year, and I just couldn't keep up with it, and it got on top of me along with everything else. Other things I've been doing is I've been doing a lot of scenery, mostly board type scenery. Now, you'd have seen yesterday, if you'd looked, there was a little short video of where I am with the market, and where I am with the market is sort of about, it's getting towards the end. In the majority of stuff that needs doing is detailing and highlighting and things like grassing and texturing, the basing side of it. At the minute, it's downstairs in the workshop and it's all laid out, and I just have to finish it. It was a bit wet last time I looked when I did the filming for yesterday's stuff earlier. Yesterday's little short earlier, and I'm having trouble with this time. Basically, I filmed a short earlier that was about the map, about the graveyard thing, and it will be going out the day before this one does. I'm also doing a project with a new material, which is Das clay, and I am not particularly impressed with it because I'm trying to add some low resolution detail to this model, and it seems to have warped. Now, the MDF bases I use are thinner than this generally, and they don't tend to warp when you paint them. This one apparently has, so I might have to do some steaming with it. And also, these were done yesterday, and some of them, where it's on thicker, as you can see where it's dark terracotta, haven't dried any too well, so I'm going to have to work on that one. But the idea is, pure for the warping is probably going to be painting the bottom with a white, so that it counter warps the other way. But there are 8 of these, and they're going to be turned into minefields for the Western Desert. The idea is that there is a bank along the top there where there is a barbed wire fence, and then there are little barbed wire entanglements, and there are scattered mines about the place on that. The mines in question are these, and they're 3D printed. There are 2 sorts. Again, there are pictures of these about on the Facebook page, and I will try and remember to put them on the YouTube one as well. But basically there are these ones which are mines that still have a carrying handle on, which are obviously not very buried, and then there are these which are effectively just flat discs. And I've got some short bits of wire and I've got some tangles of wire. These are short bits of wire I've been playing with because I can do them as short twists, and I would drill holes in the terrain, and I would put pins in and I would use them as stakes, and I would glue it all together. But that's just starting. Downstairs I've just photographed a finished project, which was the carts you might have seen me posting. Just a quick project of 3D printed carts, 2 with goods in, 2 without, for adding to the marketplace setup, because they can make good barricades. They don't actually have horses attached, and they're set up so that they're basically at rest. There's a flat on the wheel that you have to fiddle about with to get adjusted. This is the rest of the stop the laptop falling off there, because it was being propped up like this. This is the Das clay. Now I've not used it in yonks, and as I say, it's classically used for terrain sculpting. I tend to use milliput rather than this because milliput goes off much quicker and is very, very tough, and I'm not sure this is as tough as milliput is, or as drillable or as carvable. But I had a lot of work to do, and I thought a kilo Das would cover it, because there is another minefield to do, which is of Western Europe, which is basically going to be meadowland, scrubby meadows with mines in them, and possibly bits of hedging around them. I haven't decided what yet, but again, it'll be my classic. It'll be low relief terrain like these are. As you can see, it's not very high, and little lumps and bumps covered in sand and textured. So there are 8 of these bases, which I will show you, mate. And the idea is that the bank is meant to go at the front, and that all the banks sort of line up after a fashion. So that's the most as I can fit on the desk at one go, but I'll show you that with the other scene. And that doesn't show it very well at all, does it? I'll give it a bit of a tilt. That's basically what you're seeing, and get that out of the way because it's supposed to be. But basically that's what you're seeing. That cutting map, by the way, is A4, so that's 18 inches of map of board that you can see, and these are the ones you didn't see, which I've done pretty much the same too. But I'll sort that out so I get a better angle on that in future. That's the thing I'm doing with terrain at the minute. I'm also working on other things. These I'm just about to restart, which are the KNLI, Dutch East Indies soldiers, which I got to a point and then decided I was going to gloss varnish because the surface on them was a little bit fragile. Again, I'll show you those. No, that's the right one, isn't it? Right, okay, show those a little like that. It's a little bit fragile, and I got distracted by doing the terrain, so I'll be back to doing those. Those are quite close to being finished, but they need the final touches, mostly metalwork and gun barrels and things which need picking out in a different colour. But there's the KNI, and hopefully it won't be too long before we actually get the vehicles to go with those. I could get some vehicles to go with them from another source, but I don't really want to because I've already got loads on order from May 40, who are the people who are doing those. I'm also doing a boat for the Ars Magica game, which is about halfway through, and I basically need to find a bit that I dropped on the floor before I continue. There's a bit, see that bit there? There's another one, and the annoying thing is I found it, and then I cannot work out where I put it. And I've got so much stuff in here, I would have to move stuff and tidy things a lot more than I have at the moment to find it, but I will find it. And the cog on the time will continue. And I'm not apologising for that pun, it was delivered with malice aforethought. It definitely was. I've got lots of stuff to go out. I've got more buildings to do over there. I've got the Roman villa that I'm building for the Ars Magica game, and also for Pillage the Dark Ages, Pillage the Fall of Rome, and Dux Britannicum, and all sorts of other things where it is useful. Now, this is where I would really want a cup of coffee, but I have been a terrible human being and not got myself a cup of coffee, even though I've got a new cup. Actually, I inherited that cup from my father. It was my father's cup of coffee cup, and therefore of some sentimental value. So I'll be very upset when I break it, but I'm hoping not to. Let's get me back to scene 1, and we can have a look at himself talking away at the talking head. I'm hoping, if I can get some sort of transport, going out to Bosworth and attending a ruckus event, which is at Bosworth Battlefield Centre. If I do, I will be taking a camcorder. If I can get it to work, and it's being obstreperous in that respect, I will be putting up a bonus content of what went on there, and you can meet some of my gaming buddies, stroke customers, stroke victims, and you can see Ruckus, which is not a game I've played. It's a game I own the rules to, but I don't mostly get to do the painting bit because it's work and not the playing bit. Though I really like the playing bit, and it's my favourite part, and it's why I paint the speed I do, is because I like painted figures, and I like the figures painted for the game. That's the whole point, as far as I'm concerned, is to paint models for the game and have them looking good, and it makes it more fun. And that's what all the terrain is for, and various other things. I have got more techie upgrades to go on. I know people don't particularly like techie upgrades, but I've discovered that this thing, which is my decent camera, can be connected to the desktop with a HDMI cable. And I thought, oh, good, I know how these cameras work, so it should behave itself. And it also fits on my tripod, because the tripods were bought with that in mind. Yeah, would help if I used the right mouse. But basically, the tripod's there. That thing at the top screws into them, and it screws into the bottom. Standard camera fitting. And I thought the HDMI cable would allow it to communicate with the computer in some way. Didn't know exactly what it would do, but I was prepared to plug it in. So I bought a HDMI cable, which you can see me waving about. Unfortunately, there are 3 sizes of HDMI cable. There are full-size HDMI cables, there are mini ones, which is this one, and then there are micro ones. I have to order a micro to mini adapter, at which point I will plug it into the camera, and I'll see what happens. Hopefully it'll mean I can set up another scene where you can see other things, and I won't have to faff around quite so much with the camcorder, which is being, as I say, awkward. I'm having trouble getting it to record. I tried to record a little short on it earlier, and it wouldn't let me turn it on, and kept, every time I tried, I turned it back to a still camera. It is currently downstairs in the workshop, where I left it in what can best be described as dudgeon, because I was grumpy with it, and it's got an entry in the book about it, because I don't understand it, because I got the thing to work previously, but techie stuff. So that's where we are with that. On the modelling side, next things coming up are is finishing a load of buildings that I've been doing the roofs on that I converted. I also need to get onto Ross and get some more bits and pieces to the dungeon floor plans, of which this is an escaped part that's still up here. The majority of it is downstairs in the workshop, but I want to get the graveyard finished, and this minefield done, because that will work better if I do it downstairs, because I can actually lay it out and make sure everything looks like it fits together. And with that done, I could then got room to lay out buildings, of which I have a load over there. Again, I like this changing the scene thing. I like it even better. Over there, just up there, behind the camera thing, you can't actually see it, unfortunately. But basically, I've got a load of buildings which I'll bring on here, and I shall basically try and film me doing them, because that's the end goal, is actually filming me painting and filming me doing things. And at the moment, I haven't quite got the setup. I'm getting there, but I haven't quite got the setup. And again, the HDMI cable might be the solution to that. Getting the camcorder to work might be the solution to that. There may be others, but we will see. At the moment, the camcorder wants to be a still camera every time I try and do anything with it, but we will see. I need to hit a record button, and it's a touch screen, and it's not a very good touch screen, because whenever I touch it, nothing happens. So again, I'm moaning about camcorders. Hoping to get out practically on the weekend, and because it's May Day, I hadn't realised that, because, you know, what's a bank holiday when you work every day of your life? Ars Magica is tomorrow, and I shall be possibly doing an Ars Magica thing later in the week, though I'm not entirely sure that the Ars Magica things are getting the interest that people, and they might even be putting people off, because I could be better presenting them, and I might need to script them. And I'm not very good at that sort of thing, because one of the things with dyslexia, my form of dyslexia, is that I really struggle to work with scripts, and I can't read them. I have to memorize them and improvise from prompts. Much better at PowerPoint, where you've got your bullet points and you talk around your bullet points. I should really do a PowerPoint sort of page for this presentation, so I remember all the things I'm supposed to remember, and had thought about talking about when I was doing it, when I was planning it. And believe it or not, these are actually planned. It's only the live streams that sort of just happen, and until I get enough money to get myself a television license, there won't be any live streams. And as you're not actually allowed to broadcast without, even to this extent, without a television license. And whilst a lot of people get away with it and don't think this is the case, I really would rather company not having to go bankrupt because it got hit by a £2,000 fine for doing something that's fundamentally illegal. So it'll be a couple of months or so. I've got to pay for this, and I've got to do some other things that I need to do in order to get things going. I've got the dragon to paint, and I've got the paints to order for the dragon, because I promised that I would do it all in Reaper paints this time, because the previous version of the dragon, which again is down in the workshop, was painted in MP and whatever other paints that I could get from MP and Army Painter washes, which are the paints I could get from Spirit, because Spirit was still open and I was still working there when I painted that dragon. I've got another copy of it, and I've got some bases which I'm still thinking about. These are GW overly sized type ones, which I got from Sarissa, because the ones that come from war bases aren't this big, and I might be using some real war bases, terrain bases, just to get everything nice and fixed. I've also got to have some thought about the dragon, because the dragon has a design fault, because it's rearing and it's a fairly soft material, even the newer stuff, which is stiffer, and it will thermal soften, and I don't want it to do what the other one did, which is face plant itself, literally, pretty much. So I'm probably going to be doing surgery to the legs to reinforce it with wire. I've got some fairly heavy duty brass wire downstairs. I can get some thicker brass wire, and I can basically put a dog leg and pin inside the leg. It's an easy enough material to cut, and I have saws and all sorts of things which I can do surgery to it. And I'd like it to stay reared up as an impressive piece for when I go out and do markets and shows and things, which I plan to do in the future. I'm also almost certainly going to be doing enough stuff that I can take down to Christmas markets and things like that and pay and sort of sell them. There'll be sort of retinues for Baron's War. There will be retinues and forces for pillage, and then there'll be other stuff. And I'm also still working with Orchid Panda Miniatures. Unfortunately, Orchid Panda Miniatures is a little bit sidetracked at the moment because they're having to get their house ready for a forthcoming happy event, which is a happy event, but as always with children, their timing is inconvenient, to put it mildly. So she's not doing as much as she was doing, and I still haven't had back the things that I asked her to do. But again, that's not a problem, I understand, and I will be a proud uncle in due course, I suspect. So that's that. This is at the point where I would hand it over to a chat and ask people what they thought. But I'm going to start asking people what they want me to do, because I really am not absolutely sure, and I want this channel to get a decent size, and I want it to be able to fund my editor, who has done a lot of things for free or for the offer of figures and the purchase of hot breakfasts, which is bad for my waistline because I have to share them. Otherwise, he gets worried that it's a special sort of thing for him. But more on this, possibly another camera, possibly another scene, possibly lots of things to come. And that's what's going on at EvilGinger. There are developments coming, but again, they come at the speed I can afford them. So I think that's more than enough for me for this evening. You've had about 25 minutes of me at this rate, so I'm going to leave that there. There is more bonus content this week, and there will be more bonus content later in the week. I've just got to film it. So take care, everybody, and goodbye.